Hey guys, you're back with me, Ayline. We're talking about singing and playing the guitar at the same time. But today, I'm going to focus on something different. I'm really going to focus on the performance part of it and what I did to get myself to perform. So, let's get started. All right. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is confidence. And how do we build our confidence within us? Because let me tell you, somebody can compliment you a million times and tell you how wonderful you are. But really, the most important compliment is the one you give yourself. You know, our voices is the ones that we hear all day long. We hear from our teachers how well we do. We hear from our mothers how well we do, our parents, our siblings. And they can tell you how well you do. And it's not that they're not telling you the truth. But what's important is what you tell yourself. Your voice is the one that you hear all day long. So just be sure to be nice to yourself, okay? So confidence. What did I do to build my confidence? Well, for one thing, I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And when I felt I practiced enough, I practiced some more. It was something that I really wanted to do. So one way that I practiced, putting all that yumminess that I taught you and we put it together, assuming you got a song down now, even if it's happy birthday, I don't care. You take that and you perform it in front of the mirror. I know, oh my God, how scary. You have to look at yourself when you're doing something. That really, really helped me because it spoke the truth. And I was able to really self-reflect and see what I liked, what I did with my facial expressions, with my body language, and I was able to self-critique. So again, it's that self-confidence that is the most important thing to take the step to performing the song. Now, of course, there are different levels of performances. We can perform in front of our families or our friends or at a recital or even have intentions to perform on big stages. But the important thing for me was feeling the confidence before I went ahead and did that, because it was a very vulnerable thing to not only share your talent, but to share your voice and then put it with the guitar. And then there's another level. What we've been doing is really playing the guitar while sitting on a stool or sitting on a chair. Now, the whole next level is actually standing up and doing that, because standing up for me was more difficult. It became second nature to me after I practiced it over and over and over again. And it's just like sitting on a stool now. Once you've really gotten the song down with every, the rhythm that you have, and you're really good at it and you're trying different rhythms. Again, that was one thing I did. I kept trying different things, and it was like me on a computer, just hitting all the buttons until I got what I wanted out of it, because I'm illiterate when it comes to computers. But the way that I learned how computers work and these Macintoshes or PCs was just by trial and error. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to take a risk and do that trial and error with yourself. So what if you make a mistake? I mean, is there really such thing as a mistake? Because I believe that everything we do and every mistake we make is really just a tool to learn. So do that, just step out of the box and get yourself to play any type of rhythm that you possibly can. Just take it slow and you'll know when that transition comes for you. What I would love for you to experiment with is try to make it your own. And the only way, or the best way for me to show you that, is me singing the song now, the song that we've learned or talked about. Maybe you learned something completely different, but you're familiar with what I've been trying to teach you. I hope that it helps you in some way, but I'm going to show you that same song that we've been learning, and I'm going to make it Ayline style. I'm going to Aylinify it. I was scared of dentists in the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversation. Oh, all my friends are turning green. But the magician's assistant in their dream. They come unstuck. Running down to the riverside, taken away to the dark. So I did that while seated, obviously. But if you stick around at the end of the video, I'm going to put a short clip of me standing and singing and really performing my own song that I wrote, which is something you too can do. I hope you learned something in these 4 episodes with me. Do everything slow. Practice, practice, practice. Hopefully you learned something and you're going to be nice to yourself and say good things about yourself and build that confidence in every aspect of life, not just playing the guitar and singing, but in every area of your life. It's been so nice working with you all, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome to GFAtv. I'm Narezo from Flamenco Explained, and in this series of videos we're going to give you some really important information so that you can both steal from flamenco as a classical player, but also start to really understand how flamenco works. The first thing we're going to do is one of the things that every classical guitarist wants to know about flamenco, which is how to do a proper rasgueado. So we are going to look at the technique. We're going to look at a system I have for different rhythms or subdivisions, depending on how you want to think about it. And then we're going to look at applying it to a very specific thing in flamenco, which we'll talk about in a subsequent video. I should point out that these videos are going to build on one another. So if you stick around for all 4 videos, by the end, you should have a pretty good understanding of how flamenco actually works. A couple really important things that I always come back to when it comes to doing a rasgueado. And the first is that anytime you're using the back of your nail to make a sound, you want to be flicking, right? Literally flicking your fingers. So think about a fly lands on your knee, you flick it away. The power of the flick is what we're harnessing to do a rasgueado, right? So however many fingers you use, when they're on their way down, you are flicking. And what I recommend for this is you get used to making the loosest fist possible. The kind of fist where if you punched anything, you would break your hand. You wouldn't hurt anyone. Really, just enough of a fist where all of the fingers catch wherever they catch in your hand. It doesn't make a difference really, because every hand is different, right? So we're not going to worry about where, we're just going to make a fist. And then we're going to do the thing that's going to be really a little bit awkward, which is we're going to bend our thumb. Right, we're going to articulate this last joint here. And this does a lot of things. It gives you a better angle so that the sound is a little better. It allows you access to the 5th string, which you don't always have with a straight thumb. And it makes it easier to get this fist. So we're going to bend. And then what we're going to practice first is just flicking out each finger individually and then returning with the index. And this is the key to the system of rasgueado that we're going to learn. However many fingers we use going down, we return with the index and basically reset for our next rasgueado. So if I wanted to do a continuous rasgueado, it's this down, down, up that basically connects one rasgueado to the next so that you don't have that kind of thing, but you have a continuous. I would say the most common, at least in flamenco rasgueado, is actually a 3-finger one, because when you add the return of the index, down, 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 up, you get straight 16th notes, right? So this da 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 da, 1 E and a 2 E and a, right? That's what we're going for. If you add the pinky, you get quintuplets, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you just two fingers down, you get triplets, which are very useful. And a thing that we also do a lot is just down, up, and I consider this a rasgueado because I'm flicking every time I go down or up. So the awkward thing for most people really is the ring finger because the middle finger wants to go with it. So I would get used to flicking out the ring finger without building a lot of tension and having the middle finger go with it. Once you get used to that, down, up, right, you're going to start to have your rasgueado come together. So let's really quickly look at a pattern that we use in something called solea and flamenco. We've got an F chord, it's an F major 7, a C major, an F, and an E. And we're just going to do 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 5 E and a 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? Don't worry about the golpe there. So we're doing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now back to the F, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then we do a thing that's super common in solea, which is thumb, index, thumb, index. And you'll notice I skipped the 5th string, right? So 6th, 1st, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. So one more time, let's take a look at this. We're gonna do 3 beats on F, 3 beats on C, 3 beats on F, but they're distributed differently. And then we have our E, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 5 E and a 6 and 7 and a 8, 9 E and a 10, 11, 12. And notice that I'm doing rest strokes always in the thumb. We're going to talk about this in a later video, but it's a very flamenco thing to do rest strokes in the thumb, not free strokes. So that's one of the things we'll look at as we continue to explore flamenco.
Hi guys, Marco is here. Let's talk about the last episode. We talk now of the articulation. Many times on this course we found the sum symbol. We treated the sum of them in the past episode, but there are others that change not the entire character of the piece, but some notes. Articulation is a fundamental musical parameter that determines how a single note or other discrete event is sounded. They can also modify an event's timbre, dynamics, and pitch. The most used are staccato, staccatissimo, accento, legato, marcato, tenuto. Now we see the difference between staccato and staccatissimo. The literal translation is detached and very detached. When we see on the note a little point, it has to be played staccato. The note loses half of its time. For example, if we have a 1/4 note with a point above it, we have to play this like a chrome and one pause of chrome. Example, this is a quarter note. This is a quarter note with a point, with staccato. So, we play only half of its real duration. Now we can do a little example with some music, like the first sonata of Dusan Bogdanovic in the first movement, where they start with a staccato on the bass line, for example. So, when we see on the notes a symbol similar to an elongated point, this is staccatissimo. This means that we have to play these notes removing 3/4 of their time. For example, if we have a 1/4 note with staccatissimo, we have to play a semi-quarter and a pause of chrome with point of value. This is the quarter note. This is the quarter note with staccatissimo. So also, the appoggiato or tenuto is graphically represented by a line up the note. This requires a particular sensibility, because the space between a sound and another one has to be almost imperceptible and has to be played with an almost breathless accent. Wheezy. This is an example. This is a normal note. This is tenuto. That is different from marcato or accent. This is marcato accent. This is tenuto. The marcato is graphically represented by a little triangle open at the base. The marcato is like an accent, but with much intensity. Now we can do a little experiment to understand better the difference between accent, staccato and tenuto. You can hit your leg with a strong slap. This is an accent. Then you can hit your leg with a little and precise slap. This is staccato. Now you press the leg. This is tenuto. This little experiment can help us to understand these differences better. One of the most important articulation symbols is legato, graphically represented by an arch above the notes. You have to play them without interrupting the sound. For example, now I play the second movement of the Sonata Romantica, where the legato is more important. Etc. This has been my last class, so I hope you have enjoyed my video for GFAtv. I hope to see you live one day, and I wish that my advices could be helpful for your future. Goodbye!